folks. Well, in a conference full of revolution, I wanted to talk about one that is real and present and happening today in the world of media buying. I think for a lot of the people here that are either above the fray or deeply mired within it, it's amazing how manual the process of media buying is, I think, both offline and on. And really a lot of media planning happening, which sites, which television stations, which magazines, done at a very high level. What are the places that index well for your brand? Analysis is done by Excel. And the last mile of the process, the purchasing process, very typically done with a fax-based insertion order, and providing the last little bit of paper right through the end. Really what happened about 2.5 years ago was the start to a revolution in a tiny little backwater of this industry called display or banner advertising. And I think folks heard about it from the acquisition news, with Google buying DoubleClick right after the ad exchange was released, Yahoo buying Right Media, Microsoft buying AdECN and Quantive on the same day, AOL pulling together Quigo, Ad.com, LightningCast, Dakota, thank you, Dave, all in that very, very fertile period in the spring and summer of 2007. And what was amazing about that was these exchanges promised to provide this wonderful platforms of automated buying and selling of inventory. NASDAQ of advertising was one of the metaphors used. An eBay of advertising, right? Trying to get rid of a lot of the friction that existed in the media buying process. The reality was that if you looked at the buy side of the equation, right, the tools that were available for the buyers, none existed. So 2.5 years ago, we started MediaMath, and the promise was to deliver those tools to the buy side, right? To basically say, look, rather than forcing the agency, right, the planners, buyers, the internal teams, to log into 10 interfaces, some of which with no user interfaces, figure out the data warehousing problems to handle terabytes of data, figure out how to do a common workflow across all those places, figure out how to do algorithmic optimization both within the individual exchange and then across them, right, doing real quantitative driven marketing. We were going to help provide the tools to do that. And we were going to build the tools for the new marketing professional and deliver them to the agency in the form of the proverbial Bloomberg of marketing. And what was amazing was there was, 2.5 years ago, there was no playbook for this. And so we launched a product called Terminal One. And really the premise to this was threefold, right? One was provide performance, right? So actually make media work, right? Figure out the fair market price for each and every impression for each underlying advertiser that the agency represented. Make it simple. So make sure that when it got down to the factory, right, folks could actually use this thing, right? And it ranged from the simple buyer to the more sophisticated, providing them those tools. And then insights, right? Don't make media a black box, but unpack it, right? Performance is necessary but insufficient. Throw open the doors, let the agency understand what's going on, dig into it, understand media, understand audience, understand its impact on offering creative, and go from there. So what's interesting is we start in this backwater, but the reality is that the things that we're doing today in display really truly believe will be the things that we're doing across all media types over the next 5 years. So after that very long preamble, which I appreciate you guys sitting through, I'm going to show you Terminal One, which starts with actually a very simple web application. Let's drag it over here. Oh, I have to read. Great, hopefully this works. Okay, so this is Terminal One, and one of our got about 24, 25 anchor agencies right now, of which Razorfish is one. I think our hosts here made a very prescient acquisition in the acquisition of Razorfish. And here this is the view that the agency has when they log in. It's really a summary of all of the active campaigns that they're managing at the time. We're going to dig into one of them. Obviously, client data is masked, so we're going to go into the exciting client A. And what they're doing is, let's take a look at a couple of their programs. So here you see a summary of campaigns, both active and inactive. We're going to dig into this one here. And this particular campaign is a sum of 3 different strategies. One at the bottom is a strategy called remarketing, right? A very simple concept of making it easy to advertise to users that have been to your site before or searched on your product category before. Something called odd, which is basically buying an audience. So using these exchanges, right, 14, 15 now and counting, to basically identify populations that you want to go after with a brand message or engagement. And then something I'm going to dig into a little bit more, which is called goals-based optimization. So that is using a machine, right, to understand, based on the goals of the marketer, the right price you need to pay for all of the 10, 11 billion impressions a day that are flowing through the exchanges, right? So again, want to make it simple. This will be straightforward, right? Start and end dates to a campaign, the budget for the campaign, the pacing. So do you want this to run quickly if you find supply that works for a particular program? Do you want to pace it evenly over the life of the campaign? Multiple goal types. So are we looking for a particular audience? Are we looking for engagement? Or in this case, this marketer is looking for a cost per acquisition, right? A simple, I want to drive people that are going to sign up, register for a credit card, purchase for a product at $35 per or less. Set up pixels, so this is the tracking that connects what's going on in the media to what's happening on the marketer's site and beyond. It's a technology we built called MathTag. And then again, supply sources. So right now I think we're connected to 6 RTB sources. Show of hands here for anybody that's done the RTB or heard about it. Wonderful. And about 7 or 8 non-RTB sources, some of the old paradigm in terms of how to buy these things. And this is the setup screen. Let me show you the riveting stuff that happens behind the scenes. So as the agency sets up a campaign, what it's really doing is basically configuring the back end. So we've got servers that are sitting next to a lot of the major exchanges. And what's happening in real time is that those servers are pinging ours and saying, for each given advertiser, how much are you willing to pay for this impression based on all the descriptive attributes of that user. So things like the user's geography, the site that they're on, the context of the page, any third-party data that you may be able to bring into the mix, and anything that the advertiser knows about that. And what you see at the end there is a bid, right? So the end response is, here's how much for that user the advertiser is willing to pay for that impression. And this doesn't make a ton of sense without the benefit of seeing what ultimately is a decision tree. So the start to any program is something called watermarking. So agency goes in, configures a new advertiser, and basically the bidders say, okay, I need to figure out how much each impression is worth. So it starts sampling across lots of impressions, again, across this pool of 11 billion, and starts learning very quickly, lo and behold, remarketing works, right? That it should be paying more for people that have been to the website, that have expressed interest in the past, and that prospecting on an average works less well, people that we haven't seen before. But lo and behold, that within the prospecting segment, there are a bunch of segments that you might want to buy from third parties, like the Blue Kais, the Exalate, the Axioms, or what have you, that actually increase the advertiser's willingness to pay for those impressions. And then quickly you see different segments get created, the tree gets more extended over time, and ultimately you get down to this place where the dream state is you're paying a different price for every user based on the goals of that advertiser, regardless of those goals. Right, be they brand, be they direct response, be they branded response, or some other set of combinations. The algorithms, it has, here's where the true rocket scientists work, but designed by a PhD in astrophysics, and ran his own hedge fund, was a partner at both McKinsey and Rosetta, and then the development was actually by a team that developed it in financial services. So we're building the trading algorithms on Wall Street. And then what you have here is what comes out of it. So in the, again, a very straightforward picture of the first part of a typical campaign, where you're in that watermarking period, your performance is worse than goal. Very quickly, within the first 5 to 7 days, your performance is much better than goal. And ultimately, by the end, you see performance. I think 19 of 20 campaigns that are running through MediaMath are the best performing on a plan. And obviously supporting a lot of the white-labeled agency initiatives in this case. In the promise that that performance is necessary but insufficient, doing a lot of interesting things in terms of unpacking what's going on in the media world, right? So here's a response scatter plot based on a geography based on DMA. Here's by behavioral segment, which may be more interesting. And then letting the agency do some drill downs and do some digging in to say, like, what's really going on behind the scenes, right? I can't keep going back to my client with just the performance is awesome, right? I've got to start, I've got to dig in and do more. And so here you can do things like agency comes in and says, I want to learn about my best performing segments, right? The people that index better than average. And now I want to drill down into those things. And it's now re-indexed. So these are all the better performing ones, albeit on a new X and Y axis. But here the agency can go in and say, look, some of the key events are job seeking, things like they're into celebrity and gossip, they're interested in green. Agency can then turn around, inform those insights to creative, for example, to say, hey guys, go develop specialized messaging around these segments. End of this is, I think the revolution is now. MediaMath is very psyched to be part of this in empowering the sort of the next generation of sort of agency sophistication. Yeah, questions, anything out in coffee later?